words of Theodore Parker. We are the religion that sunshine goes everywhere. Part of our own tradition, a minister who used to preach to 2,000 people at a time because he had an evangelistic view of what Unitarianism in his day was about. This weekend, we hosted a conference that was entitled Strengthening and Growing Your Congregations. It's been amazing. There was over 125 people here, and 50 people from our congregation participating, volunteering, and taking part in workshops. The theme was strengthening and growing our congregations. And I saw that this congregation has the strength to grow. The cooperation and coordination the members displayed this weekend was phenomenal. The praise that I heard from our guests was overwhelming. We know how to throw a party. There was a plan and there was flexibility. Many hands helping to get the job done. This congregation has grown. In the past 5 years, from 209 in 2000 to 292 in 2005. But looking deeper, our growth is slowing. We gained 60 members by 2002 and only 30 in the past 3 years. But though we've been growing slower, we've been strengthening. We have had the courage to examine ourselves closely. We have changed our bylaws to empower more decision-making at the FCC and committee level. We have made efforts to expand staffing and bring salary levels up to UUA guidelines. We saw that it was necessary to expand our own pledging before starting a capital campaign. And we have taken care of our building and are using it as a resource to benefit the community. Hosting in this space a Narcotics Anonymous group, the Symphony Chorale, a health food co-op, a Tibetan Buddhist class. These and other groups have expanded our reach into the community. Our building, well used, is part of the ministry of this fellowship. In preparation for this weekend's conference, our keynote speaker, Harlan Limpert, sent me a book called Breakout Churches by Thom Rainer, which describes factors that allow churches to move from good to great. Most churches just move from year to year, not examining or measuring their growth. The members are somewhat content and say things like, things are going on about the same as they've always have. And when you hear that, you pretty much know that in actuality, things are declining, a slow erosion that's barely noticeable. Attendance that slips 5% per year always seems just about the same until 5 years later when you've lost 25%. Most mainstream Protestant churches have lost 1/5 to 1/3 of their members in the past 20 years. UUA has held about even at the growth rate about 1.2%. But that's still less than the growth of the population of this nation. Churches that grow have in Rayner's terms an ABC moment: awareness, belief, and crisis. First is the awareness that the church isn't all that it could be, and a belief that a change can be made in spite of obstacles, and a crisis. A crisis that usually follows after things begin to change. And this is often when a pastor leaves or is asked to leave. But those that persevere through this crisis grow. One can see in the history of this congregation this ABC moment. This congregation about 10 years ago had a breakthrough in building this building, but a crisis in leadership followed. But you kept the awareness that things could be better, and a belief that you could work through the problems. This courage faces the brutal facts of a situation. It is willing to do the hard work of change. I arrived here in 2000. It's not well known that I could have arrived here in 1999. I was in conflict with my previous congregation, and I was looking for interim ministries, a place to land in case I got fired. I was sent a packet about this congregation wanting a settled minister, not just an interim. After 1 year of search, you had not found a match, and the UUA had started sending your packet to a second round of ministers. A decision could have been made quickly. You could have had your second choice, a minister who was avoiding conflict. But without talking to each other, we made the same decision. Instead of sending you my information, I decided to do the hard work of resolving the conflict in my congregation. And you decided that instead of making a quick decision, you would search for another year. We both chose to do the necessary hard work. And by 2000, I was a better minister, and you were better prepared to receive a minister. Awareness. We grew rapidly after my arrival, and this could have been a time to coast. But when you're coasting, you eventually realize you're going downhill. There was an awareness by me and the leadership that things had to change before we could grow more. A pastor-centered style of leadership was unsustainable. There were simply too many people to keep track of, and I would soon be unable to keep up, and people would resent me when I dropped the ball. So we did strategic planning. We changed the bylaws. We strengthened the Fellowship Coordinating Council and the committee chairs to make more decisions. This is what's called, in the jargon of church growth, a program church. When I came here, the care committee was, ask Jesse Bush. She'll tell you what's going on. Well, Jesse and Arch soon moved to Florida. And that committee has grown into 10 people, each with specializations about calling people or emergency meals or kinship groups or transportation or more. I couldn't be a good pastor without them. This is an example of a program church. It requires change by the pastor and the congregation. See, pastors love the pastoral model. It is a wonderful ego trip to be the go-to guy for everything, until it fails. Pardon my sports metaphor, but Michael Jordan scored 55 points in a playoff game, which his team lost. The next year, he scored less points and learned to pass the ball, and his team won the first of 6 championships. Because we are aware, we have laid the groundwork for change. I believe we can get to the next level. But going in, we need to also be aware that there will be conflict. How and what and when to build are decisions that lie before us. There will be conflict, and I assure you that I am here for the long haul. This summer, I am leaving for sabbatical for 5 months. So it may seem like I'm abandoning you in the middle of your transition. But this is an opportunity. Our committees will need to be stronger to function and carry out many tasks in my absence, and they will need to remain strong once I return. The year after a sabbatical is critical. In many ways, I will be a new minister, and you will be a new congregation. Done well, this will help us move to becoming a program church. If we are committed to each other, we can reach the next level. So why do we need to reach the next level? Because Winston-Salem needs Unitarian Universalism. If we try to grow only for ourselves, we will fail. But if we look beyond ourselves to the wider community, failure is impossible. We are here to serve. In an atmosphere of religious conformity, we can be an example of religious freedom. When the restrictive dogma of so-called family values dominates, we can respond by loving and valuing all families. When children are taught to hate and segregate, we can teach tolerance. We know how to throw a party. Because life is worth celebrating, we can have a ministry of radical hospitality, inviting people in and inviting them to change us with their presence. Every time I hear a visitor or a new member say, "I am so glad we found this place," I know our mission is clear. We are salvation for those who want to embrace the mystery of life without simplifying it so it can be put in a box. We are a beacon for those who value love and justice. There are many people who feel alone, wondering if they are the only ones who think that what they do is more important than what they believe. We need them here, for there is safety in numbers, salvation in community. Imagine what Winston-Salem would be like if more people were empowered by this community to speak out for religious tolerance, to work for economic justice, to support beauty and the arts, to live in harmony with nature, to respect and include all cultures, to teach children that they are loved for who they are. We can tell people, in the words of Universalist Walt Whitman, the sum of all reverence I add up in you, whoever you are. We will find happiness not in another place, but this place, not for another hour, but this hour. Rainier argues that breakout churches have a successful vision intersection profile, a VIP. Consultants always like jargon. But what he's saying is elaborate vision statements are not as necessary as people being aware of the vision. When I said Winston-Salem needs Unitarian Universalism, I didn't write a pause in my sermon for applause, thinking that that would be the line that would get it. But it happened because you knew that vision. We don't have that written down anywhere, but we know that is our vision. The vision intersection profile is where the passion of the leadership intersects with the gifts of the congregation and the needs of the community. Their vision arises. A vision is a lived reality, not an eloquent statement. How can I inspire you to use your gifts to serve community needs, and how do community needs help you to discover your gifts and inspire me? These circles intersect and lead us forward. Often when I see a visitor, they say, well, I came here and saw so many people that I already knew. And that's wonderful. And then I wonder why they weren't invited to come earlier. Bring your friends and family to this place. Share the gift of this congregation. By serving each other and the community, growth is inevitable. Each week, we conclude our service saying, "Go in peace." But we know it's not enough just to passively wander through this world, oblivious to the evil that is out there. Nor can we let despair of the daily news overtake us. We must think peace is possible. Therefore, we also say, believe in peace. But a belief is not possible until it is lived, until it is put into action. We must invite people to build a community of justice and compassion. So we say, create peace. But to create peace, we must move with confidence towards a goal. We must depend on each other as we persevere and inspire each other by saying, may it be so. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. May we be better than we are, sharing the peace that passes all understanding, encouraging others to embrace the mystery and miracle of our being, and to invite others to be with us on the pathway to peace. May Unitarian Universalism continue to grow in Winston-Salem. Please rise as you are able and join in singing triumphantly. Let's freedom span both east and west.